West Ham versus Chelsea, London derby, massive game, probably one of our toughest tests so far this year. This is West Ham Fan TV's big match preview. Joining me tonight is Ryan Archer. How you doing, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. 2 weeks in a row. I was on the preview last week with Nicky, and now I'm on with you. I might make it a hat-trick next week, and we get Dan to present it.
Yeah, I had to miss it last week, mate, so I do apologise. But yeah, Nicky stood in for me. Thank you very much, big man, for doing that. Decent point up at Newcastle, mate.
Yeah, great point, mate. Great performance. Well, after the first 2 minutes, great performance. I thought, I'll be honest, I was fearing the worst when they got that early goal. We spoke about it last week that we haven't been on the back of a good hiding for a long time. I thought after that start that we could be seeing a 3 or 4-0, but no, the way the boys stuck together, stuck in, it was a great point to come away from Newcastle with a point, mate.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, it's one of those, isn't it? We sort of there was a sort of air of confidence around a lot of people. A lot of people could see that we were going to get something up there. I didn't think we would, but like you, after them first couple of minutes, you're thinking, oh no, this is going to be 4 or 5. But we dug deep and improved dramatically as the game went on.
I fancied us to get a point. I actually went for 2-2, but obviously it was 1-1. But I got my team spot on as well, so I got a point right and the team right. So hopefully this week, what I say goes as well. Come on, you Irons.
Fingers crossed, mate. Look, it's good to see as well. A few players starting to hit a bit of form. Do you think now we are slowly turning that corner with that performance?
Yeah, I mean, I think that now that David Moyes has sort of got the formation he's been wanting to play all season with the 3 at the back and the 2 wing back, I think Soufal and Emerson have been brilliant over the last few games. Mm-hmm. It's a shame that obviously Zuma picked up the injury a few weeks ago, and now it looks like Kehra's going to be out for a few weeks. But I think having Aguerd back, I mean, you just see the class he showed on Saturday at Newcastle. Yeah, I mean, that recovery tackle when Callum Wilson was away was a world-class tackle. But the midfield is starting to get settled a bit. You've got Rice and Paqueta starting to click in midfield. Bowen's found a bit of form. And obviously, Benrahma's back in the team and Antonio as well. Who's I know he didn't do much last week, but he done a lot of running and he did cause Newcastle a little bit of problems.
Yeah, the thing is, I think the change in the system has sort of seen a resurgence in certain players who have dipped in form. Bowen, Soufal, Emerson's come into his own playing as that left wing back. But like you said, Aguerd on Saturday, he was immense. And I think you were like me, when you see Wilson breaking through and you're thinking, oh no, guaranteed to score. And then it was just an outstanding tackle. That showed true quality to put that sort of challenge in that situation.
Yeah, and I think that's what he adds to the back line, because no disrespect, but if that was Ogbonna or Zuma chasing him, they wouldn't have caught him. No. But Aguerd has got that little bit of pace about him. He's got the awareness, and I just think he's just added that. He's a leader at the back as well, and that's what he's added. He's added that little bit of confidence to the back line. We've stopped losing. Now, I know we lost to Wolves, but we're picking up good points away from home. Leeds, Newcastle, tough places to go. So once we start picking up these wins, I'm confident we're going to move up the table and try to break into that top half before the end of the season.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, is this a good time to be playing Chelsea? We've spent a lot of money in January, bought players in. Do they really know what their strongest 11 is going to be?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, you look at their recent form over the last 5 games. Ours are identical. Drawn 2-1, 1-1, lost 2. They drew 0-0 with Fulham the other day. They was all expecting a win. Their big name signing, Fernandes making his debut after his British record transfer fee on deadline day. So you're right, though. When you sign all these players, it's hard to get. And we've struggled with that ourselves this season.
Yeah.
We've brought in, I know we ain't spent what Chelsea has spent, but to us, 180 million is a lot of money. And we brought in these big name players, big money signings, and it's proved it hasn't worked out straight away. So it does take a bit of time to click. Because if we beat Chelsea on Saturday, we move to 8 points of them, and they're on a bad run of form. So it only takes us picking up a few wins. You can find yourself sort of mid-table battling it with Chelsea to get into that top 10.
We've a lot of the other teams around us, we're the only team now in the bottom 5 not to sack their manager. I feel we are starting to turn the corner. And could this be sort of a stroke of luck by the board not to pull the trigger and get rid of Moyes, especially if we can get a result against Chelsea on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, look, there was a lot of people calling for Moyes to be sacked, including myself after the recent run of form before Christmas. But look, it's a big gamble sticking with Moyes, but when you look at the form this year and the results we've picked up this year and the way we're starting to play, you're right. It might have been the right choice. You know, you've seen Leeds; they got rid of Jesse Marsh the other day. Obviously, Everton brought in Sean Dyche, and look, they got a great result against Arsenal. I mean, sometimes you get a manager comes in and it lifts the place. We've obviously decided to stick with Moyes. Look, if he turns it round, I think at the end of the season, he probably will part ways with the club anyway. I know it hasn't been great under David Moyes, but sometimes having that little bit of stability, work together, stick together, and then the results will come.
I think it's going to work out be a good decision. You know, I'm preempting it because we are still in danger and we are still in the dogfight. But as we said the other week on FMP, you know, you can see now what we're trying to do, and you're seeing we're picking up wins. You know, I know they're granted in the FA Cup, but we're picking up wins, we're picking up points. And it's key going into this game to have a bit of momentum, a bit of confidence about this place, you know. And injury-wise, okay, we've lost Kehrer. It looks like he's going to be out for around 3 weeks. But Samaka's back in training. Obviously, Danny Ings was on the bench, come on with 15 minutes to go the other night. And Zuma's close to returning as well. So if we can get, especially Zuma back, and then get Ings and Samaka firing, you know, it's the depth of the squad looks so much better.
Yeah, you just got to look at your bench for the options, and if you start Scamacca up top, you've got Ings and Antonio on a bench, or if you start Ings, you've got Scamacca and Antonio on a bench to bring on. So it's good to have them options. When there's good options on the bench, the players who in the starting 11 have to up their game to keep their place in the first team. So you might see a different Antonio second part of the season.
Key question, right? We'll get on to our starting 11s in a minute, but with Danny Ings now looking like he's fit, do we make a change? Do we bring Ings in for this game, or do we stick with Antonio, who performance-wise has lifted since that Wolves game?
Looking at the circumstances, London derby, early kickoff, I'd probably stick with Antonio. He usually turns up in these sort of games, you know, loves these sort of games. Danny Ings, I think, playing in that formation up top on his own might be a bit too much for him. He would definitely be a good option to bring on later in the game. But I think with Danny Ings, I think the way you get him in the team is that he needs someone up top with him. So that will be when the Macca's fully fit, then David Moyes has to make that decision whether he does change the formation, get Ings and Scamacca together. But as I said, I think Antonio will start on Saturday. But what an option to have Danny Ings or Scamacca to come on off the bench.
Yeah. So what would you go for starting 11 wise for Saturday, mate?
Do you know what, mate? It's the same similar starting lineup from last week. I had Fabianski in goal, Aguero, Bonner. Obviously, with Kehrer being out, I think he's going to have to play Ben Johnson there because we've got no one else. Now, I'm going to go as the back three of Aguero, Bonner and Johnson. Soufal on the right, Emerson on the left. Obviously, Declan Rice and Paqueta in the middle, as it has been for the last few weeks. And then Ben Rama on the left, Bowen on the right, and then Mikel Antonio up top on his own. With the injuries and at the moment, the team sort of picks itself. Yeah. I do worry a bit because I thought Kehrer looked all right on Saturday. It's a blow that we've lost him. But yeah, no, I think Johnson, when he come on against Newcastle, he actually done all right. He didn't look out of place, and he's played in that position before. He's got two experienced players next to him. So, yeah, no, that'll be my starting 11 for the game on Saturday.
Mine's exactly the same as yours, mate. It is the back line. You know, Johnson, he's plays on the right side, right-footed player. Yeah, I think bringing Creswell in, there's too many left footers in the back line, so somebody's going to be playing in a very uncomfortable position. So, no, I'm with you. You know, stick to the same 11 what we can, and I said with Johnson coming in to start for Kehrer because we're playing better. You know, we're not playing brilliant. We're playing better. So the confidence in the side is keeping the side the same, and you know, it's not a winning side because you know. Granted, we did win the FA Cup game, but it's a good point away to Newcastle. So stick with them. Stick with the players, know their roles. And then, like you said, gradually then bring your Samakas, your Danny Ings into the side because we're going to get options.
They're obviously our starting line. That's what we want to see. But there's a part of me that can see him maybe going to a back four and playing Soufal, Aguerd, Ogbonna, and probably I think if he goes to a flat back four, he'll go with Creswell left back.
Yeah,
And obviously Emerson will drop out. But if he does that, then he'll bring Souček into the team, I think.
yeah.
And
I
then
think,
that means that either Ben Rama or Paqueta will be out of the team.
yeah, I think if he does that, I think it applies too much pressure on with the way Chelsea, because Chelsea will probably line up a sort of, what do you reckon, a 4-3-3 system they've sort of played, don't they?
Yeah, they're playing a 4-3-3. So yeah, matching them in midfield.
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it? It's because we're sitting here now. We question David Moyes week in, week out, but we're sitting here now thinking, scratching our heads, thinking. So imagine if you was the manager and the pressure you are going into this game. So it's a difficult job, mate. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, with the signings that Chelsea have made as well, you can't predict their 11. You know, you can't sit there and say, well, it looks like they're going to go with this, they're going to go back, because as we said at the start, Potter really doesn't know what his strongest 11 is going to be. So it makes them a bit unpredictable. You know, you're going to expect your Fernandez's to start, you know, the big money signing. He started his first game the other day. By all accounts, looked all right, but he looked all right in a team that didn't look very good. I'm more confident going into, I'm more confident now than I would be if we were playing them 3 or 4 weeks down the line.
By that time, they'll probably be a lot more settled.
Yeah.
So it could be a good time to play a player like Fernandes, you know, coming into a game, a big London derby away from home. Their midfield three the other day was Fernandes, Mount, and Gallagher. So it'll probably be Gallagher will probably drop out if Felix is going to come back in. But then is that too lightweight for them in midfield?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big decision for Potter as well,
and he's under pressure as well. You know, he's got to start getting results. So this is again a big game for both managers. João Felix coming back. You know, he looked good in that first game that he played. All right, he's been suspended since then after the sending off. A few of my friends at work are Chelsea supporters, and they said he completely changed the dynamic of their side just by having him as a natural striker. He wanted to perform. He wanted to win. He had that drive that they've not seen with Aubameyang, and obviously Havertz not being a recognised number 9.
Yeah, and you know there's going to be some key battles all over the pitch, mate. I'm looking forward to, obviously down the left side you're going to have Emerson up against Reece James, and then you got Soufal up against Cucurella as well, which will be two good battles. And it's going to be them key battles all over the pitch who's going to decide who's going to win the game on Saturday. I'm really looking forward to it on Saturday, and I fancy us to nick a result.
Earlier in the season, you know, we were robbed of a point. Dodgy VAR decision. You know, last minute equaliser robbed us of a point. So I think Chelsea fans are going to be concerned going into this one against us. For me, he's the player that we need to watch out for. You know, in this game is Felix. You know, he's the one that I think is going to cause us a lot more problems.
Oh yeah, definitely. He won't stop moving. Declan Rice and Paqueta or Souček, whoever starts in midfield, is going to have a game on their hands. They're going to do a lot of running on Saturday. Chasing him around the pitch, obviously Fernandes as well. So it's, as I said, mate, it's going to be some good battles. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
As you said, Chelsea, looking at their current form and they're probably the last place they want to come is the London Stadium for an early kickoff. Yeah, it's going to be a good game, mate. Good one for the neutrals, definitely.
What are you going for in your prediction, mate?
Do you know what, mate? I fancy it. I fancy us. I'm going to go. Do you know what? I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham.
Oh,
I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham. I fancy it. I think Bowen. I fancy Bowen to get on the score sheet. You know, I fancy an Antonio goal as well, and I'd like to see a nice little. I'd love to see it for the love of it for Declan Rice just to get one. But to be honest, I don't care if they score 3 own goals. I think the players are going to be up for it. I think the fans are definitely going to be up for it. I think with the recent run of form and the performance last weekend, I think a lot of people are looking more forward to getting over there now. People that even was against David Moyes are sort of thinking, right, the ball are going to stick with him. Let's just get behind the team and David Moyes and just get us over the line on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not as confident as you, but I do think we're going to nick this one. I'm going to go for a 2-1, and I think we're going to get a late winner. You know, I'm just hoping we get a good refereeing performance because, as I said earlier in the season, we had the dodgy VAR decision.
We said it the other day. You know, look, if we drew, it's not the worst because you're not losing, you're still picking up. But we need to start putting 3 points on the board just to sort of a couple of wins can just push you up that table because they're starting to become a little gap. Like Forest picked up a good win the other day.
Mhm.
They're starting to pull away a bit, and then you look at the table and they're starting to. You think to yourself, oh, even if you win a game, you're still 3 or 4 points behind. So you just got to get that little run of form together. Drawing 4 games in a row ain't as good as winning 2 and losing 2. You need the points on the table. So points win prizes in this game.
Yeah, thanks very much for joining me, mate.
Mike.
I'll get you back on again soon, definitely.
Oh, cheers, mate. I love it. I enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks very much, joiners. Thank you, everyone else who's watching the video. Comment with your starting 11s and predictions down below in the comment section. Check out all the other match day content that we're going to be getting, and me and Ryan will be back for Friday Night Pint. And one thing left to say, mate.
Come on, you
Irons.